Is it about time? Does every second count?
Let's keep pushing.
Do you need to keep going? No matter where you are, no matter what time of day. What do you need to protect? What do you need to change? Is success about going as fast as you can? Or is it about traveling less than ever?
Hello, Lieb. My name is Oliver Steil. I'm the CEO of TeamViewer. And as you've seen in the video, I'd like to talk to you about Formula One, and particularly digitalization in Formula One, a topic which I think is very interesting given we have the race coming up this weekend. It's exciting, but it's also very interesting for us as a company to show what digitalization makes possible. And I'd like to give you examples about this and give you an idea on how we as TeamViewer can help both Formula One and also obviously other companies. Why Formula One? Why is it important and interesting for us? As TeamViewer, you might know us as the company that provides IT support, IT management, IT administrators are using our product all around the world. But we have developed much further over the last decade. We've built a platform that connects to vehicles, machines, laboratory equipment, and you can control and manage this equipment from the distance. And that makes it possible for many, many companies to improve their processes, to become more efficient, and to reduce waste and become more sustainable as well. So why is Formula One so interesting for us as TeamViewer to partner with? Number one, it's a very innovative space. You all know examples of what has been invented in Formula One and is now part of any road car, so to say. You see some examples here. The buttons for remote control on the steering wheel, the pedal shifting, electro-hydraulic shifting, very fast, very efficient for increased speed. And then also the move into sustainability, electric power, energy recuperation that is needed, the hybrid powertrains. There's so much innovation. There's so many bright people that come together in Formula One that we really believe it's an environment where innovation is happening, and therefore it's an environment where we want to work with and try out our solutions and try to see what's possible in this world. But also, for us as a digital company, we also like to work on digital projects and on digital opportunities. And it's quite interesting to see that Formula One has been on a digital journey for probably half of its history. And it started obviously with digital engine management, so really trying to get the best performance out of an engine. But then there was more and more data gathered. It was the engine, it was the car, it was the sensors all around. And what you see now is there's more and more simulations in the Formula One world happening. There's a lot of data, there is AI usage, there's closed loop optimization and operations, and all of that incredibly fast, often in real time, but also with distributed teams. There's a team on the racetrack, there's teams in the factories, the teams travel all over the world in enormous amount of data. So the problem solving and the optimization is becoming more and more digital over the last years. And that's exactly where we play, because we like to enable these solutions, these new processes, and these new ways of working. And the goals are very clear in this respect. Clearly, if you are a racing team, it's all about performance, it's speed, it's winning races. So that's important, and that's priority number one, and always has to be priority number one. But more and more has happened over the last years, which is equally important than which is sustainability. You have to reduce waste. You need to do more with less people in a faster period of time. And you need to save money. There's a cost cap in Formula One, which I think you all know. You have to work within a different budget. And again, very comparable to every industrial company. Better performance, better output, lower cost, less waste. And very much also focus on security, risk reduction, making the sport safer for the driver, for the visitors, and also make it more data-driven in all aspects towards marketing, digital marketing, and fan engagement. So it's a perfect place for us to work and to showcase our solutions. And it's also a very difficult place. And I think that was the other part, what we liked a lot. It's a challenging environment. It has to be super reliable. We cannot provide solutions to the team that fail during race operations. That will be a disaster. So therefore, ultra high reliability and also very low latency. Performance has to be very high. Many things happen in real time. A lot of things happen overnight in data analytics, but there is still a very important real-time element, and latency cannot happen. It has to be secure across the globe. There's very different race venues. They move, the teams move. The setup has to be redone every second week or every third week. And it has to be super secure and super safe, easy to use, easy to set up, easy to scale. So if you look at typical situations in a customer, you have much more time and room for error and to be able to correct errors than you have in the Formula One environment. And that's what we like, really. It's a stress test for our solutions, also for everybody else's solutions and parts. And therefore, we were so keen to work together with Mercedes on the races. Sorry. So in order to come together, we basically took all our products, and this is the TeamViewer product range. As I said before, you know us for the remote IT solutions, IT support, easy to use, IT management, and IT admin, downloading a product and using it. That's very clear, but we've expanded that to a full enterprise connectivity platform. So basically, we offer connectivity to everything that you have and remote control to everything you have. And that opens up many, many more opportunities. It's the IoT theme, so to say. On top of that, as you can see here, we have a frontline worker solution, which is all about bringing data to frontline workers. We use tablets for that, or phones, or augmented reality glasses, as you can see on the picture here, to make sure data that sits somewhere, or expert knowledge that sits somewhere in the back, is actually available to the frontline. And it doesn't take lots of imagination to say, well, okay, there is the teams in the back and in the UK, engine facility, chassis facility, 2,000 people in total, and then there's 80 people on the track. So how can we best support these people on the track? And that's also part of what we do. We felt it's a very good partnership because innovation is in both ourselves' DNA. So we continue to evolve the use cases. And the Mercedes team needs to continue to use and broaden the use of digital technologies to become faster and have a competitive edge. And also we were quite proud to see that Mercedes was using TeamViewer already before. And especially during COVID, when this remote operation became such an important part of being able to continue to race, we were used very significantly. And then we decided, why don't we come together and why don't we work on even more projects and enable digital even more. We want to get efficiency, as I said before, and also sustainability. As you know, Formula One has embarked on a very important sustainability goal. So do we as TeamViewer and many of our customers. And we also wanted to focus on that, and all with very high data security, very important. But I think maybe, rather than me talking about it, could be interesting to see the team principal, Toto, talk about what he had in mind and what they had in mind when they chose TeamViewer. And you see a short snippet of an interview here.
Immensely beneficial, not only in terms of engineering, but particularly also to reduce our carbon footprint. Basically being able to multiply the people that we have on track, from the mechanics to the engineers, and having them work here or in Brixworth where our engine plant is.
And Toto, what's the scale of ambition for remote operations in Formula One? What's possible? How far can you go?
Well, we are limited by a cost cap, and that's part of making Formula One more variable and attractive. And then obviously you need to save money and you need to save time. And therefore, similar to artificial intelligence or machine learning, working remotely, utilizing those tools is of an immense benefit.
So you see, it's a broad agenda that we've given ourselves. Basically, take TeamViewer as a platform, roll it out across the whole team, and try to use it in as many situations as possible, if and when it makes sense. Very clearly, it's a trial and error. There's also areas where our technology might not be right. Then the team will naturally go a different direction, because performance first, waste reduction second, and we need to align on these goals. So what we've done out of this ambition, We've effectively started in 4 areas. Number 1 is remote connectivity everywhere. So try to connect every parts of the team setup globally to one platform and allow to remotely operate different parts of the garage and of the equipment and of computer devices globally. So that's 1. Secondly, there's a big testing team, development and testing team back in the factory. And there's a ton of laboratory equipment from wind tunnel to pressure testing of smaller parts. And all of these experiments run overnight. They run 24/7. And if you're able to access these experiments and manage these experiments from anywhere, you gain time, you're much faster, and you also have much more flexibility with your workforce. So that's also what we did. We also rolled out IT support tools across the organization, and there's a very specific case, very high requirements in the esports, which I'm going to show you, which we work on, and data access. You know, if you watch Formula One regularly, that the time between practices, between qualifying is getting shorter and shorter. So the time that you have available for the driver to see data, feedback on data, play it back to the factory is getting condensed, and therefore everything has to be super fast and super speedy, and that's what we also built. So I show you a few examples so that people talk about what they're using it for, and you get the idea. First is remote monitoring in the lab operation that I mentioned before, from wind tunnel to all kinds of parts development.
Formula One really is a development race. Anything we can do to optimise the tests and how many tests we're running in a day really does give us a performance advantage. TeamViewer has opened up many opportunities to improve the workflow across the lab because we can keep rigs running from other rooms, so I can be running suspension in one room while I can be monitoring a test that's happening out in the main lab in another. Many of our technicians are using that technology to be able to multitask and keep lots of tests running at one time. A data quality test can typically take 15 hours. Historically, I'd have to have started that test at 8 o'clock in the morning and monitored it and stayed with it. Now with TeamViewer, I can go home and change bits of the test as I go and not have to worry about taking up a rig for an entire day.
So big benefit, as you've seen, it's a factory. It's effectively producing parts, prototypes in very different shapes or form. They need to be tested. That runs overnight. You don't want to go back to the lab every single time to change parameters of the testing. You do that remotely from an iPad or a phone, and you are able to completely free up your engineers' time and make them work more flexibly, which increases their satisfaction, but also the speed to action and the ability to change. So this is lab manufacturing environment. Very different environment is esports. Support for esports. Simulator racing is an increasingly important part of the team, as you can imagine. And these people are very digital. You need these racing rigs, you need this equipment, and you need to be able to troubleshoot as quickly as possible. And that's also something which we support.
We are set. We're ready to go racing.
The esports team really leveraged the benefits of TeamViewer to really focus on the performance and the race as opposed to the support processes that sit around it.
Before the race, the rigs for the drivers are loaded up and several laps completed to make sure everything's okay. There's a systematic checklist to make sure that we understand that all of the kit is running as we expect it to. We don't just have one person, one computer. We have rigs all over the world, various drivers competing from their homes at times. The benefit of TeamViewer is just how simple it is to use. Our engineers will connect to a driver's rig, make the changes that are required, and close it down again.
So this is a very different example. As I said, it's fully IT. We had the manufacturing environment, the lab equipment, where you have physical task, engineers working. Here you have very fast intervention on the IT side, but it needs to work very seamlessly from the headquarters, from the back office, and make sure you can solve problems very quickly, because otherwise the race driver, the e-race driver, cannot perform, and then you have no chance of winning. So it's exactly the same like in a physical world, but now it's not an OT problem, it's an IT problem. And the last bit where these two things come together quite nicely, in my view, is if we look at race operations. You all know the situation where the driver has done some laps on the track, comes back, and has the first view on data paired with his fresh experience on how was my driving. And in order to be able to connect those, there's access to data very, very quickly in the garage. And that's also something which we enable because it has to be ultra fast. There's only a few minutes between those laps and the next lap. And if you don't interpret the data in those few minutes, there's no way you can make changes quickly enough to improve your performance within the session. Let's have a look.
We use TeamViewer in the garage in a number of places, but primarily it's used in the driver drop-downs, which are the two screens which sit immediately in front of the driver.
We can show him data coming from different sources, either from the engineers at the track or from the engineers at the factory. We can look at overlays, we can look at stats and plans for the run ahead.
From strategy to weather to run plans to competitor analysis, and the driver can switch between displays.
TeamViewer has improved the experience of the track because we can show lightning fast data to the driver, and has always been very reliable, has never let us down. Even during qualifying session where everything is on the line, he's always worked perfectly.
So 3 examples, very different environments, but I think you can get the idea that we're really trying to take a platform approach, take a joint ideation approach, and see how we can apply digitalization across the whole system in different parts. And whenever there is performance, we try to apply and make it work during the race weekends. And that's a journey we're on together with the team to make sure it's getting more digital, more efficient. And also, very important topic, as I said before, is sustainability. Many things that are happening at the moment in the planning, in the innovation around Formula One is performance, but it's also reducing waste and reducing emissions. And with an environment where you have 24 races around the globe, lots of travels, people traveling, and also obviously using more and more electricity and trying to get power in the car from hybrid drivetrains, you need to continue to innovate around this. And you have a goal in mind, which is reduce carbon emissions on that end. And we know from our solutions that we're very capable of doing so. I'd like to point out one study from 2022 where we have checked and calculated the savings of all our users and paying customers, and that's 41 million tons of carbon not emitted in 2022, and that's the equivalent of 42,000 flights from London to Tokyo and back. So it's an enormous amount. So this remote-first idea, changing the process, driving it from the back end, not so many people traveling, is incredibly powerful. And that's why we apply it in Formula One and also in all of our customers in order to improve their footprint and also obviously also our own footprint. So with this, where do we go from here? Clearly, we have some nice successes already. The partnership is now almost 3 years. We have remote operations. We have reliable pieces of software. We have improved security. We've reduced emissions to quite some extent already. And the next frontier is what I mentioned before, enabling more workers, more engineers at the track, making even more use of AR, of immersive technologies, better training, easier access to data. That will be very important. And we will continue to spread the connectivity across the back-end systems. So more systems connected means more remote operations, means faster access to data, and therefore better operation and faster performance. So a lot to still go to, but I thought might be interesting to get a first view on what's happening behind the scenes in Formula One. And with this, we all, I think, look forward to the race on the weekend. Thank you very much.